Okay, let's dive into something that so many of us use, but, maybe don't fully understand: the Humble Nail File. We're going to break down this essential little tool so you can finally pick the perfect one every single time.
You know that feeling, right? You're just standing there staring at a wall of nail files, all these different colors, shapes, materials, and you're thinking, are they all basically the same? Does it really matter which one I grab? Well, it turns out, yeah, it matters a lot. So, to really get to the bottom of this, we're turning to a professional guide on nail tools, and what it shows us is that this simple-looking object is actually a whole world of specialized instruments. I mean, each one is engineered for very, very specific job. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to tackle that feeling of being totally overwhelmed. Then, we'll get into why the material makes such a huge difference. After that, we'll look at the all-important buffer, figure out how the shape changes what the file does, and we'll even finish up with a little bonus pro tool. Okay, first things first. To get over that feeling of being lost in the nail care aisle, let's just clear the air and start with the absolute basics. It turns out this whole confusing world of nail files really just boils down to three key things: what it's made of, its grit, how rough it is, and its actual shape. Once you get a handle on these three things, you can walk in and pick the right tool for the job, no problem. Let's start with that first one: material. This is probably the first thing you notice when you're looking at them. And believe me, it has a massive impact on how the file works and, just as importantly, how hygienic it is. So this slide really shows the main trade-off. Over on the left, you've got glass files. They give this perfectly smooth finish. They basically last forever, and you can easily wash and disinfect them. But, and it's a big but, they are so fragile. Drop one, and it's game over. Then on the right, you have your plastic workhorse. It's durable, also washable, and it works great on pretty much any nail type. And of course, we have the classic cardboard file, what most of us would call an emery board. These are just the most common and, honestly, the most practical for a quick fix. They come in every grit and shape you can imagine, and because they're disposable, they're perfect for stashing in your bag for those emergency snags. This chart really lays it all out. Look, if being able to sanitize your file is your #1 priority and you trust yourself not to drop it, glass is a fantastic investment. If you just want a tough, do-it-all tool for your kit, plastic is the way to go. And for pure convenience and those quick fixes, you just can't beat a simple cardboard file. It really all depends on what you need it for. Now that we've got materials down, let's look at a tool that has a totally different job. See, not all files are for shortening or shaping your nails. Let's talk about a very special kind: the buffer. A buffer, or a Lima buffer as our source calls it, is a completely different animal. It's usually shaped like a little breck or a thick, straight file. And the key thing about it is its super fine, barely abrasive surface. Its job isn't to take off length, it's all about perfecting the surface of the nail itself.
So why would you use one? Well, it's got two main jobs. First, it gently buffs away any little ridges or streaks, making your nail plate totally even. Second, it polishes the surface until it's smooth, almost like glass. This is the absolute secret to getting a flawless polish application, especially if you're using gels or other long-lasting polishes. It really does create the perfect canvas. And to give you a sense of just how gentle these are, our source says their grit is usually somewhere between 240 and 320. Now, for comparison, a heavy-duty shaping file can have a grit as low as 80. So that high number tells you the surface is incredibly fine. It's made for polishing, not for filing down. All right, we've covered material and we've covered grit. So now for the last piece of this puzzle: shape. Turns out, all those different curves and edges on a nail file aren't just for decoration. Our source points out 4 common shapes, and each one has a specific job. The straight file, that's your basic, all-purpose tool for shaping the tip of the nail. The curved one, sometimes called a banana file, is amazing because it follows the natural curve around your cuticle, so you can shape the sides without scraping your skin. The half moon is like the best of both worlds. It gives you that straight edge for the tip and the curved edge for the sides all in one. And the trapezoid, that's a favorite for pros because all its different angles give you total control for that detailed finishing work. And speaking of detailed work, our source highlights one more pro tool. It goes a little beyond just filing, but it's totally essential if you want that truly perfect, professional-looking manicure. It's called a Scalzino. This is the little instrument that professionals use for 2 really important things: gently lifting the cuticles away from the nail so they're easier to trim, and for getting in there and cleaning the free edge underneath the nail. It's all about the details for that super polished look.
And there you have it. You now know that the material's all about durability and hygiene. The grit tells you what the file's job is, and the shape is designed for pure precision. With this info, you can finally stop guessing and start choosing your tools like a pro.
So you're not just lost in the nail care aisle anymore, you're actually armed with the knowledge to pick the exact tool you need for the job. So really, the only question left is, with the right tools in your hands, what kind of amazing manicure are you going to create?